I first got to know you through the Three Uniques podcast. And that was the first kind of time that you challenged me without knowing that you were challenging me, by just having those questions about what made me unique. And there was a lot of reflection that I needed to do to prepare for the interview. So going into the interview, I felt really vulnerable. And I was already putting a lot of trust in you right from the beginning. And so I felt like there was something special in the connection that we had just from that experience of doing the podcast together. I felt like there was definitely a real integrity in terms of what we did together in the podcast, what your messages were in your social media, and I just really came to trust you. So you really earned my trust and built that relationship through that. I was running as a sole proprietor, bringing contractors in to work on projects, and struggling with my wounds around being over-responsible, over-committed, and trying to figure out what to do next with my business model without getting married to anybody in my business. And so really giving myself the space that I needed to be true to myself in how I grew the business. And that was really, really hard for me. To figure out how to really be true to myself in moving the business forward, which sounds funny because it's like my company, I can do whatever I want with it. But I was still feeling as if, oh, maybe I should do this or should do that, or kind of struggling with what it meant to be in a relationship, in integrity with people who I was working with. And so where am I now, after a few months of working together, is like a massive shift. So the first things that were big shift for me were the boundary shield, to maybe be a little bit more courageous within myself about like not accepting certain things. So I found the boundary shield to be a big game changer for me. And then also like placing my children, my husband, as I'm getting to be having my kids mostly grown up now, like still have a child in high school, but to be able to move my husband in more, move the kids a little bit further out. Yeah. So that's been really beautiful for me and for us to really kind of own that desire I have in the romantic relationship area. So yeah, those are all really big things for me. And figuring out I can't remember what it's called, the visionary, the integrator, the different ways, and that I, really owning myself as a visionary, and that I do need an integrator. And I already had an integrator in my life that had worked for me twice before, and I brought her in to do all the business process improvements. So those are all done now. Right. And I incorporated. That's done now. I've got a job posting out for my first ever employee. That's done now. I have a candidate.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So a lot has changed. To give a specific example of what's been the best part about working with you, it really is your kindness. And I remember there was one session where I was like really, really afraid of doing the exercise, of the feedback exercise. I can't remember what it's called, but anyways,
inside interviews.
The inside interviews. I was really scared about them. And I didn't expect that I was going to be, but I was. And then we were having this session, and afterwards you reached out to me to ask me how I was feeling. And I thought that I really felt cared for and seen. And I don't know, maybe you always reach out after every session, and I had just been all like, oh yeah, I'm great. But it really meant a lot to me after that session in particular, because I felt like you really wanted to make sure that I was doing okay. And what it allowed for me, for myself, was to accept that I wasn't doing okay, rather than just like pushing on, carrying on. When you asked me that question, it caused me to reflect, like, I'm not doing very well about this. And so I thought that kindness just was so real and authentic, and it enabled a lot more impact to the coaching session. Yeah, well, I'm really excited that over the last 6 weeks, I've gotten all of these business process improvements put in place. So I'm a lot more resilient. So I'm not dependent on any one person to do the work. I can be very resilient in terms of how I resource the work, and I have control over quality. So I have a really great template now, fully graphic designed, all the languages right, all of the fields that need to be populated. They need somebody to fill them in, but it's pretty in my world, it's pretty straightforward.